Hey everybody, welcome to Local Business Hacks Podcast. I'm your host, Carl Case, and I'm on a mission to help you. Every week, we're going to be talking to local business owners and experts to get their best tips, tricks, and hacks to grow your business. This show is designed to teach you, inspire you, and motivate you to take massive action and start to build your future-proof business. Whether you're just starting off or you're taking your existing business to the next level, this episode is for you. So let's get started. Hey, local business hackers. I'm your host, Director of Global Business Development at Referrizer, joined today by a badass mom, Sadie Lincoln, co-founder and CEO of barre3. Sadie, welcome to Local Business Hacks.
Thank you.
So I have read up on your story, and it is definitely unique to say the least. Can you synopsize your journey to get to this point and prior to barre3 being founded?
Sure. Well, we founded barre3 15 years ago in August of 2008. And I've been in the fitness industry many years prior. Really, it started when I was a student at UCLA and the College Rec Center. That's when I fell in love with teaching group exercise and just kept following that passion. I went to grad school at the College of William and Mary, where I elevated their group exercise program on campus. I got my master's in administration, higher ed administration. And at the time, my thought was I was going to run fitness programming on college campuses. I really enjoyed working with students and in that kind of academic environment. But then I landed a job with a company called 24-Hour Fitness, and I ended up being there for over 10 years and helped grow the organization from 25 gyms to 430 globally. Many of those years I worked for the founder and CEO, who was very entrepreneurial. His name's Mark Masterov. And he sort of took me under his wing, and then eventually my husband as well. And we ended up working together at 24-Hour Fitness on a new business concept that we got to do from soup to nuts, which was going to be a franchise concept under the 24-Hour Fitness parent company. And it was about actually the same footprint as our current barre3 studios are. And we modeled it, we tested it. I think we opened maybe 10 of them. And then 24-Hour Fitness had a change. I think at that point they were purchased again. So Chris and I left the company. And with that knowledge of working together as a married couple and realizing that we had really great chemistry when it came to being entrepreneurs, combined with we wanted to make a lifestyle change and create a company based on where we felt like fitness was missing in our own lives, honestly. I really wanted a boutique fitness concept. My love is group exercise versus the big box gyms. And I wanted to combine mindfulness into traditional fitness. Still to this day, those two things are pulled apart often, which I think is kind of ridiculous. You can actually practice mindfulness while you're doing traditional fitness. And I really wanted to bring that to the marketplace. And that was sort of the beginning of barre3. We wrote a business plan knowing that we were going to franchise because we knew how to scale fitness. We wanted to bring that wisdom to the table. I love teaching, so I developed the fitness instructor training, taught 19 classes a week when we first opened, like almost all the classes, did everything, opened the doors, checked people in. Chris was working in our play lounge. We had a childcare area. We really just did it all in the beginning and then methodically pulled ourselves away so we could grow the company. And here we are.
Oh, yeah. That's incredible. And fast forward today, where can people get involved with barre3? Where are you guys located? Give us some deets.
We have 185 studios now. So we've grown significantly. And they're really peppered all throughout the United States. We have some in the Philippines. We have a couple in Canada. Our website, barre3.com, and you can go to the locations page and find your local studio. But we also have an online service. We have streaming online workouts, over 300. We add them all the time. Every single week, there's new workouts. And we have subscribers now in over 100 countries. And we've had that streaming business since 2011. So it's sophisticated. We've learned a lot. So yeah, we really enjoy reaching people kind of wherever you are, even if you don't have a studio near you.
That's awesome. And for those of you listening, I just took my first bar class and wow, is that not the easiest workout? Definitely recommend giving it a try. And obviously it sounds like you're open to opening new territories globally. So guys, get involved, barre3.com.
Yeah,
Sadie,
we wouldn't have this kind of growth and success if the workout didn't work. It's highly efficient, it's highly effective. It's also low impact, so low risk of injury. We combine strength, cardio, and mindfulness all in one. There is a ballet bar as a prop, but it is not ballet. As you just discovered, you do not need to know how to dance or have any ballet experience. We use the prop in a kind of a non-traditional ballet way. We use it as a prop for posture awareness, body balance. Yeah. And it's an ever evolving class. We really believe in research, learning from our clients, but also learning from, experts in exercise science, mobility, functional movement. So we evolve the workout. We continuously evolve the workout to really meet clients' needs.
That's incredible. I can say as a little nugget that our listeners don't know, I did ballet for 14 years growing up, and
Amazing.
barre is definitely nothing like it. So I'll be back.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was very cool. I definitely enjoyed being the only man doing ballet growing up and getting to watch everyone else run laps outside while I was sitting in the air conditioning and hanging out with a bunch of my friends. So that was wonderful. And I'm very flexible from it. So great for the opportunities.
Yeah, well, it's not dance. I think dancers really resonate with it because there is this feeling with the ballet bar that brings back that memory. And there's a lot of precision and awareness, body awareness, isometric holds, and a lot of dancers who have injured themselves find barre3 and figure out how to really develop confidence back in their body. Same thing with athletes. We modify the workouts all different ways. So if you do have an injury, you can still get a really challenging workout, which is something we're really passionate about.
You go, girl. That's awesome. 185 locations. Very incredible. Sadie, I'd love to hear from you. Having that mindset of franchising from the start, how does that change things when creating the first location and then going forward from square one?
Well, it was really important for both me and Chris to do this from the ground up. So we really knew as founders what it took to develop our own studio, put our own life savings into it, right? Go through the pain of build out, which is pain, no matter. I've never heard a story of anybody renovating anything or building anything that doesn't have pain. So we really wanted to experience that whole side of the business and then scale. So we could bring that awareness, that empathy, and that wisdom to the table, along with all the business knowledge we had at growing up at 24 Hour Fitness. And we did design the first studio with right away. We put up a tab on our website that said grow with us, and we started to take leads almost instantly. I think we had our first signed location was in the Philippines, actually. And I think that was maybe a year in. And then quickly thereafter, local kind of Oregon connections, Seattle connections, and it sort of went from there. But I designed a manual right away that I knew would scale. Back then it was actually printed. Now it's all digital, and our hub is amazing. We have an online learning hub. I quickly trained my own instructors. I quickly found potential instructors who could become lead trainers, people who train the trainers, and started to really develop them and learn from them also. Same thing with operations, sales, marketing, finding clients that loved barre3 and wanted to bring their wisdom to the table and help us grow and help us scale. All those things were constantly in the back of my mind as I was opening my first studio.
It's awesome. When you speak about, I guess, having these key players in these key roles, especially early on with plans to scale pretty quickly, what would you say are some of these tips and tricks that you look for or things that you avoid when trying to find that key role?
Two things. And I will say this is also what I've learned, by not nailing this, which, that's how you grow, is you learn from when you don't do it right. But where I used to almost solely emphasize was a true connection to our brand and our core values. because we are a disruptor in the space. We were doing things very differently in 2008. We still are, but adding mindfulness into traditional fitness and kind of shaking up the bar niche. So, for example, we're not all doing the same move at the same time. We really encourage modifications, where bar was very much about conforming and doing everything the same. We had some really disruptive notions in the industry. So it was really important for me to find other rebels, other people that were really excited about disrupting the norm. Another big one to this day that we're disrupting is this idea that you do fitness to change your body into like an imagined picture of yourself in the future, which is usually shaped by society, which tells us we need to look a certain way to be worthy, to be attractive, to be winning, to be sexy, to be blah, 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 something other than we are. And at barre3, we work out to be just as we are in that very moment versus trying to change ourselves into some other example of what success looks like, which makes everybody feel shameful inside and never, ever works in the long run. So I needed to find people that were really aligned with that because it was different. It was something new in the industry, even how we speak in class. You'll never hear us say, we're doing this to burn off those mashed potatoes last night, or we're getting ready for bikini season, so you look hot on your vacation. You won't hear that at barre3 because we're so focused on compassion and being present and alive in our bodies as they are in the very moment. So I've always leaned towards that, and I've erred just towards that. And where I missed at a point when we were starting to really take off is another very important element, and you can find both, is people who have the skill that you need to grow your company and have experience and a worldview around growth. And every founder I've ever talked to, and I love mentoring founders now, and I always tell them, what would it be like in this moment? Because it's always that moment where it's tipping point where you're starting to grow. What would it be like if you had the very best CFO you could imagine, the very best HR person, top-notch marketer, top-notch finance person? Can you imagine how awesome your company would be, right? Believe that you can find those people with your core values also. Because at a certain point, you really do need those people that have done it before so that they can help groom all the people who have the values, but maybe don't have the skill set yet. And yeah, so that I would say both, and core values and worldview and high skill level for growth.
I can imagine being in the room when you tell other founders that there's a huge sigh of relief when that imagination kicks in and they're like, wow, if I had these people, my life would just expand exponentially in so many ways.
And it does. It's totally possible. I think when I look back at those earlier years growing the company, I honestly wonder, and I do think it was more about me not having confidence. Like, do I deserve to be around these people? Is this good enough for that caliber of an executive? I'm not sure I totally believed in myself that way. And when I ask founders to imagine that, it really is asking them to believe in themselves, that they deserve the best top-notch team. I mean, if you've got a concept that's breaking through this disruptive and growing, find a team that can help you get there. None of us as creative founders have all those skills. We can't have, all those skills. And so it's impossible to groom other people with that skill set you need, that diverse skill set you need, if you don't have it inherently in yourself.
Or surround yourself with people that believe in you to push you to that point. Yesterday, I had a dear friend of mine that's the head of nursing for a med spa that has over 200 locations. And she's taking a step to go on her own and start her own wellness brand. And she celebrated with us her first paying client. She's like, this person paid me $20,000 right in one whack. And I was like, oh my God, this is happening. What is going on? I can't believe this. And I said, Liz, do you not believe that you're going to deliver on way more than $20,000? She's like, oh my God, this person's life is going to change. I am like, hell yeah. And it's changing that mindset and believing in yourself is so powerful. So I feel you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I'm clearly doing something right. I have you on the show, so we're making moves over here. Sadie, I'd love to transition into the purpose of this podcast, Local Business Hacks, and give you the space to talk about some stories that really shaped the future or shaped where you are today, so that hopefully our listeners all over the globe don't have to learn on their own the things that you already have.
Well, one of them, I'm just going to repeat. The first step that I've learned is to be very strategic and to sit in a room, even if it's people you don't work with, but consultants, advisors, mentors, strategists, sit in a room and figure out where you really want to go, your 1 and 3 and 5 year goals. And I focus mostly on 1, and then 3 and 5 is a little more like out there. I'll have like a kind of a North Star, get really, really clear on that, and then staff that plan. Hire for that plan. And sometimes that means making really hard decisions. But I think it's really important to always do what's right for your company versus what's right for you emotionally, or even your existing team emotionally, because you're not setting them up for success if they're in roles where they're not equipped to kill it, to crush it. And there are points of growth where reorganization is needed, where you do need to bring other people in, where you do need to take the time and invest in employees that don't have the skill set to get them to where they need to be, or find another role for them within the organization where they're going to thrive. And of course, if that doesn't work, then if possible, a mutual understanding that you need to let them go or they need to move on to a different place. And that's something I've always thought of, is how great it would be if I always adopted this mentality of let them outgrow you. Like, you've grown here, you've learned a lot, you've built the skill set you didn't have before. Now you can take those skills and you can move on with another organization and do your thing. I think that idea of cycling new employees in, cycling new employees out, like, is healthy. And I tend to be a loyalist. So I think I maybe held on too long and even like begged people to stay at certain points, which I just laugh about now. They were asking to leave. I'm like, no, you're not going to leave. You're going to stay. I'm going to make it work for you, and that really didn't serve the organization. It didn't serve them and it didn't serve me. So yeah, that's probably been my biggest lesson in the last 15 years, is finding the right people, never, ever settling. And that goes for our franchise partners too. I think some of your listeners are in the franchise system. As a franchisor, it is my duty, honor, and privilege to make sure that every single franchisee who signs on, which to date, we have 185 studios, they're all women. And we're an owner-operated model, meaning if you sign on as a franchisee, you're going to be at the center of your studio, working within that studio. So it is my job to make sure that we are carefully screening those candidates and matchmaking the right type of person to barre3, so that barre3 is better. barre3 continues to elevate, and that there's a really healthy relationship between the franchisee and franchisor, because there's a congruent core value set there and a real strong skill set that matches the core values, and, ultimately leads to success.
Yeah, I think that's really important. The model of owner operator. I just got back from Atlanta speaking at the Franchise Leadership Conference, and it was wild to hear brands in your space that have awarded licenses, maybe 30, 40 licenses to a single franchisee, and looking at the churn inside of these organizations and thinking about the deeper details. Forget the monetary things that happens to the organization, but what happens to your brand when you've scaled a studio in a market and now that studio's gone? It really affects the whole board, not even from your level or from that person, but across the brand. So I love that you guys are doing that. It really shows passion in what it is. And it enables everyone inside of the barre3 brand, whether they're on your team, on the franchisee side, or even an end user, to get that experience that you really hope and know that they are. So congrats on that one.
Thank you. And truly, it's a move. It's a business move, because I'll give you a very specific example. During the shutdown, obviously, I think it was 70% of our company revenue was turned off overnight, right? And that we shut our studios, but we got really creative. The boutique space overall, sadly, 30% of boutique studios permanently shut during COVID.
Crazy.
During the past 3 years, 30%. We went from 156 studios to over 170 during those 3 years. We grew. Yes, we had pain points. We definitely had some studios that sadly shut down, but we ended up adding more. But more importantly, the story of resilience, the story of those women who own those studios in their market were an authentic fit for the brand. They had real relationships with their clients that meant so much to those clients that they kept paying, kept supporting, and helped them push through to the finish line. We're now this year, 30% year over year growth in our studio business, 30% year over year. And we didn't do some magical change. We just are staying committed to our vision, mission, core values. And that means making sure that everybody that represents barre3 is coming at it from a very authentic place. So yeah, it's been validating. It's been really, really hard, but it's been a validating journey for us, for sure.
Consistency is key.
Yes.
Can say it all day. That's awesome. Awesome. Sadie, transitioning off, you've provided so many great hacks. I greatly appreciate it. Hiring, it's wild when I have CEOs on this show, how hiring is typically number one. If you don't have the right people in the right role, everything will pummel. Also, our organization helps brands really keep track of their reputation online. And I think that it's wild how many people don't have a pulse on the negative impacts of what staff can really do. So I love that was something that you shed light on. It's incredibly important. And I'd love to hear from you. What are some of your tips or morning routine look like that's your must have to come in with the winner mindset every day?
I have a morning ritual that I've done for a long time. I think it's called the 5-minute journal. And it's so simple, but it's basically a gratitude practice. So the first thing I do when I wake up, literally, is I sit up in bed and I think of 3 things I'm grateful for. And they could be anything, but I do sit there for a while and really think about it. And then 3 things that would make the day ahead great. And then 1 sentence that's an affirmation. And then right before bed, the thing I do right before I hit the pillow is I write down 2 highlights of the day. And what did I learn in the day? And what's really beautiful about doing that over time is that highlight reel. So I'll look back on my highlight reel like last year as we're heading into New Year's time. I look back at my highlight reel and there's clear trends of things that were most significant in my life and meant the most to me. And then I design my year ahead based on those trends. Wow, I really like being in nature. Wow, I really like being on stages speaking. Wow, I loved working with the leadership team on our diversity, equity, and inclusion stuff. It's like you can start to see these themes. Spending time with my kids is always a theme. Dogs, always a theme. And so I want to make sure that I'm designing my life in the future to really amplify my highlight reel versus making it something that's hard to get to. So that's probably my number 1 hack for wellness, happiness, making sure I'm being aware of a life that has meaning.
I love it. Gratitude is everything for me. Definitely.
I never regret working out, ever. Right? And so when you go back and you see that, like, oh, that did feel good to work out, oh, that did make my highlight reel. It reinforces things that make you feel good.
Love it. Love it. Sadie, 2 more questions. As far as books go, are you an avid reader?
Pretty avid, yeah.
Awesome. Give me a couple like absolute must reads for anybody in, whether it's their spiritual journey, their entrepreneurship journey, just something that the people in your circle have definitely read?
Untamed by Glennon Doyle. Loved. She's just a beautiful, beautiful writer. This is super random. I'm reading a book called Running with Sherman right now,
Okay.
which is about donkeys and this like great race and these people that run with donkeys. I know that sounds so ridiculous, but it is the sweetest tale. And there's a lot of values woven into it that I just think is precious. Someone just recommended that to me because my goal in life is to have donkeys someday. I'm trying to think from a business perspective, the tipping point, anything Malcolm Gladwell, I really love. All the Brene Brown's books are fantastic. Yeah, those are the ones that come top of mind right now. I just read Diary Van Frank, actually. Reread that. Sometimes I'll pick up books from classics that I read in middle school, but that's a really timely read right now. It's a beautiful read. I forgot how wonderful that book is. I highly recommend that one too.
Thank you. For those of you that are listening and not watching, Sadie really lit up about Running with Sherman, the donkey book. So
Yeah.
clearly there's something there.
I promise it's good.
Sadie, last question, my favorite one. If you were going to have dinner with a historical figure from the past, who are you eating with and what are you talking about?
I've been asked this before historical figure in the past, like someone who's not here anymore.
Yeah, or it could be present.
Well, present, I would love to have dinner with Dolly Parton.
Rock star.
I think she's so sweet, so authentic. I love that she makes fun of herself before everybody else does. She gives generously to the world. I just love how she owns her body in her own unique way. And I think she'd be a real hoot to have dinner with. So that's who I'd pick.
Any ideas of what you'd want to ask her that we can't find out online?
I would totally want to ask her about her relationship with her husband. Because she's been married. I have a really strong marriage and my husband is kind of more behind the scenes versus in front of the camera. And I just think it'd be sweet to hear more about her relationship with him, which she keeps fiercely private. So not sure I would get that out of her, but maybe after a couple bourbons.
Chris, we're sending you all the love, my friend. We really appreciate it. I would love to know what's the best way for people to stay connected with you. Is it LinkedIn, on Instagram? Where can our listeners find you?
Well, I love both. Instagram, Sadie Lincoln is my handle, and LinkedIn too. I've been more active on LinkedIn than in the past. That's been a really fun place as well. And then barre3 is in all those channels as well. If you want to get to know more about our organization, it's BARRE and then the number 3. We're really active on Instagram. I think that's a great place to get a feel for who we are.
Sadie, thank you so much for being who you are and coming to life with passion and really wanting to change people and enable them to be their own boss, which is awesome. So from our listeners all over the globe, cheers to you, and we'll stay in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's it for this week's episode. I hope you found it helpful. Be sure to head over to our site, local-business-hacks.com, to check out the show notes and send me questions or ideas for future episodes. If you want to grow your business, just like the people you've heard from here, follow Local Business Hacks Podcast and tune in for new tips, tricks, and tactics. Until next time, thanks for listening and keep hacking.